Hello everyone and welcome to another Grosso University educational webinar. My name is Dominic Caminata, CEO of Grosso University and industry-leading sales trainer. As with all Grosso University webinars, this one's going to be jam-packed with golden nuggets. So as always, get out your notepads, get your pens ready, get your popcorn ready, as we're going to be sharing useful information that you can use to grow your business and thrive in the coming years. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Nate Joens, who's the co-founder of Structurally and an absolute expert when it comes to optimizing your call center with AI. And Nate, at first I want to thank you for driving all the way up to Madison, Wisconsin. So how many hours was your drive?
Just a quick 4-hour drive from Ames, Iowa.
So driving all the way across from Iowa to invest in your education. So again, we really appreciate your time and your investment. And today's educational webinar is going to be titled Call Center AI Revolution. We're going to be talking about how an AI-powered call center can handle your home improvement leads, which of course is a very hot topic today. And we all know that right now AI is all the craze, and it seems like companies are coming out of the woodwork. I think one of the guys I was talking to said there's like 60 or more AI companies that are pouncing on the home improvement industry and causing quite the disruption. And one thing that I personally admire about Structurally, and we'll obviously talk more about it, is Structurally is not new to the game. They've been working with AI and call centers for over 8 years. And Nate has obviously priceless experience and best practices on how to garner the greatest results and successfully implement AI into your call center. So you guys are not new to the game, and this is what I love about this webinar, because we're going to be talking in depth about how you can better understand AI's influence in call centers, and of course, how to get the best results from this amazing technology. Because I think of AI as like a tool. It's only as good as how you use it and implement it. And of course, who you partner with really matters. But kind of starting off, Nate, anytime we have guests coming on these educational webinars, I'm always curious how you got into being the co-founder of Structurally, and essentially the whole concept of exactly what Structurally is really their mission is, specifically in home improvement. So,
yeah. Well, first of all, thanks, Dom, for having me here. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Love having the opportunity to be in this amazing studio.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely not my basement in my home office at home. But yeah, Structurally, we've been around for 8 years now. Been a long time in the AI world. Looking at me, I actually Structurally is all I've ever done. I graduated in 2016 from Iowa State University, started Structurally, and didn't ever look back. So we started it based in the real estate industry, actually, 8 years ago. So what we ended up doing, my co-founder and I, Andrew, we ended up talking to tons of realtors. They're just entrepreneurs, businessmen, salespeople. Basically, that's all they are at the end of the day. Said, what problems do you have? And it was constantly, I struggle with following up with leads. That was it. Yep. Most salespeople do. Let's be honest. It's a tough problem.
I've talked to probably 3 companies in the last week that had that same complaint. Like salespeople, they can't pay them enough to follow up because they're always chasing the shiny object in front of them, and they fail to nurture their existing clients they've already invested time with.
Everyone wants those new shiny leads. You kind of forget about that lead after the second day. You couldn't get a hold of them. Same problem was very true in real estate as it is in home improvement and really any industry where you're making kind of high volume, high ticket sales basically. So we heard that problem 8 years ago now in 2016, and we said, we're gonna set out to solve this problem with technology, not people. Yeah. Call centers have been around for 20 plus years, more than that now, 30 years. Call centers are tough to manage. They're tough jobs. There's lots of turnover. There's lots of training. There's just lots that go into it. We said, we're gonna solve this with AI. We lucked out, we found some really talented engineers, said we're gonna solve this really specific problem of lead qualification, lead nurturing, lead follow-up, and appointment setting with AI. And basically that's what we've been on a mission to do for the last 8 years. Started in real estate, really captured a lot of that market, consistently kind of picked up a lot of home improvement businesses along the way. And we basically said, okay, there's a need. There's just as much of a need in home improvement. This was a couple years ago. Now, as there was in real estate, we're going to tackle it. We're going to tackle that problem in home improvement now too. That's
what I love about Structurally is you guys are not new to the game. You've been at this for 8 years. And you have proven results working with home improvement companies, because full transparency, before we partner up with any company, we interview what I like to think is the top companies in that field, in that lane, and a lot of them were honestly new to the game, and they didn't even have any home improvement clients. So I'm like, how are we going to promote and endorse you guys publicly if you've never once worked with a home improvement company? I understand, there's some similarities, but I mean, you have real case studies and real proof as to how to optimize someone's call center leveraging AI. So if you were to give someone an elevator pitch, if you're in an elevator and someone says, what is structurally and what does it do? How would you best explain it? Obviously, you've been at this for a while, but
yeah, man, you're really testing my sales.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. I'm just the marketer here. I lead marketing, but we'll do the elevator pitch. So structurally, nurtures, qualifies, and follows up with your leads using texting and calling over AI. We're integrated into your CRM. We take your leads, old leads, new leads, rehash leads, other leads. It's the name of this webinar. We're going to show you how we work all those leads. We take all those leads, we immediately follow up with them 24/7, 365. We nurture them until they respond, and then we have a two-way qualifying conversation, which results in an appointment set or a live transfer back to your sales team or call center team.
So very excellent. And when he says that AI follows up, I mean, it literally feels and sounds like you're talking to a real person. And I did quite a few experiments working with your AI, trying to throw it off, just speaking a bunch of nonsense to your AI. And I was blown away by how quickly it pivoted and adapted and was able to still have a meaningful conversation. So this stuff is absolutely next level, and it's almost terrifying, like how this is going to advance in the coming years. But I'm just curious, when you first started working with AI 8 years ago, how did that pop into your head, and how difficult was it working with AI? Because I just think of AI 8 years ago as like, wow, that's like the stone age of AI. I mean, what exactly was AI like eight years ago compared to now?
Well, I guess, so I just turned 30 2 days ago, so I guess I'm gonna date myself now,
Yeah.
But when we started in AI, the model that we used was called GPT-2. Now, some of you, everyone, you might be familiar, the new model that everyone now knows is GPT-4.
Right.
So we started on GPT-2 all those years ago. That's where the tech was. And man, if I had GPT-4 8 years ago, our life would be so much different. But we took a model, we took that model, and we gathered a bunch of training data, conversations. We fed it to the model, and that's essentially how we built our own internal conversational AI that qualifies leads based on our own data, our own proprietary framework to follow up with leads and qualify leads. And we still use that model today, but obviously AI has come so far lately that we couldn't ignore GPT-4 and all the other models. So we use a combination of a lot of our own tech, our own proprietary models. We've trained our model on over 25 million hand-labeled messages at this point. And then we're also combining it with the new tech like GPT-4 and everything that's out there. So we've found a really good way to harness years of data. We've handled over 10 million conversations, over 25 million hand-labeled messages, and it's all in the name of converting leads at a higher rate than what humans do, honestly. We've never been set on replacing humans.
Right.
We're here to augment the role of the call center, make their lives easier, make your salespeople's lives easier. But we treat it like a science as well.
Yeah, when you talk to Sebastian from Real Voice, he commonly preaches, of course, like there's no denying that AI will replace people. But the biggest thing that people need to be concerned about is people using AI replacing people. And that's what we're going to be seeing is how can we take our existing staff and quadruple their productivity, right? That's what you're going to see from your competition. This is why right now it's more evident than ever before that the companies that are refusing to use this technology are simply going to get steamrolled by the competition. You cannot possibly keep up with the efficiency and optimization of an AI call center, even for the simple fact of 24/7, 365, no sick days, no babysitting, no nothing. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So now that segues into the next thing here. How do you feel that AI technology improves customer interaction and ultimately customer satisfaction in call centers?
Yeah. Well, first things first, I think that point that you made was really important. Was it you or did you borrow it from Sebastian that said call centers aren't going to replace humans? It's the companies AI isn't replacing humans. It's the humans using AI.
That was Sebastian. Yeah, he preaches that all the time.
That is super, super, super important. Again, you will not get replaced by AI. You will get displaced or replaced by teams using AI, basically.
Well, in full transparency for me personally, I was one of those guys that resisted AI for a little bit, because it is kind of terrifying. I mean, nobody knows where this is going to lead to. And depending on, how your brain works, like end of the world type stuff, it's like, okay. But once I finally took a step into AI, started playing around with it, getting to know a little bit, and then starting to actually use it productively. And again, I'm not an expert, I'm far from it. But oh my gosh, there's so many things now. I mean, for my personal and professional life running a company, that AI has been absolutely tremendous for. Just having Chat GPT-4 on your phone, being able to ask it questions, interact with it. If you ever have writer's block, or what I like doing is taking scripts from our training, and I tell AI, can you write me 5 different versions for different personality types of this same script? And then boom, just types it right out. And even like, okay, so we do homesteading at my place. My wife has got all these products that she makes, home remedies and herbs and tinctures and essential oils and all this stuff. And she creates really beautiful labels for all of her products and good marketing. And she's trying to figure out a great way to write these descriptions. So we've been using AI to like write really good descriptions on what these are, what the benefits are, how to describe the ingredients and stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on. But again, going back to it, the companies that are using it, clearly simply just being accessible and readily available can improve customer satisfaction, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think along that line, one of the quotes from our customers, Armor Guard Exteriors, they're an exterior company in Florida. He went on stage at a conference last week, kind of spoke about AI. He's been in the industry for 20 plus years, just a long time veteran of the industry. Mm-hmm. And he's new to AI, trying to figure it out, try and learn it. He said something that I thought was really helpful. He said, when we were looking at call center or salespeople, we said we could either have 10 call center reps and no AI, or 4 call center reps and AI. Mm-hmm. Really simple. Now, maybe they're not going to replace, they already had 4 call center reps.
Yeah.
And they're not going to hire more because it's just too much overhead, it's too much scale, it's too much to manage. And that was a really good way to look at it that I thought was a blend of both worlds, because they're not going to fire their 4 call center reps. They're doing good. They're handling new leads. They're processing them, but they're trying to raise their business to over $1 million a month mm-hmm. in revenue. And they know they need more leads, more volume, which is going to need more AI or people to manage that in the call center.
Well, and just talking me personally at Grosso University, I honestly have no interest, personally, this is just my personal opinion, on having 10 call handlers smiling and dialing all day long. I don't really want to oversee that. I don't want to deal with it. So for me personally, having an AI-powered call center makes a lot of sense, because I want to make sure that I keep my team small and intimate and maximize the efficiency and productivity of each one of my personnel. Even though I have the space technically for a call center, I would much prefer to put a pool table out there and just have a fun little hangout area, like a recreational, fun environment, just a small, intimate team where we do a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. And obviously leveraging technology gives you the freedom to do that.
Yep.
And not to mention, even like the way structurally set up, if you have people working remotely, I mean, how amazing is that, where you could literally have a handful of people working remotely, and leveraging AI, they can do more damage than a call center of 20, 30 people like at a brick and mortar location. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's so many benefits, but one of the things you were talking about before is, the perfect opportunity that AI can handle in your CRM. I guess, how would you explain what a perfect opportunity or example is, like what that AI can completely handle in mm-hmm. terms of leads?
Yeah, so our AI really likes to handle new leads, but what we've learned in talking to a lot of home improvement companies with tons and tons of lead volume, they're saying, hey, my frontline, my callers are pretty good at handling those new leads themselves. So on day 2, when we kind of give up on those leads, we want structurally to handle those. So our AI handles leads across the board, from new leads right when they come in, to old leads who might be 180 days old, to rehash leads that are closed loss or closed won. We kind of work the full customer journey, like mm-hmm. we call it. But one of the really interesting places to start that we kind of get in the door and talk with a lot of call centers and scaling home improvement businesses is overflow or off-hour leads. Many people listening probably have an outsourced call center, or maybe someone who's handling those nights and weekends, which isn't a very fun job. But that's a really good opportunity just to like let AI handle new leads. That's the perfect blend of AI plus humans. Your humans can work during the day, but leads come in after hours. That's just what they do. And I've heard so many businesses that say, oh yeah, we just wait and then we call them first thing Monday morning. Like if you have good competition in your market, they're calling those
speed to
leads.
Lead is everything. First one and last one in.
Leads when you aren't, so you've lost the deal. So that's a really good opportunity to staff AI on overflow leads or nights and weekends leads. That's a really good, I guess, way to get started. Dip your toe in the AI water.
Well, and I talked to some companies where, because rehash is always a topic, and I think rehash is going to be more important in the coming years, you know, taking advantage of your low-hanging fruit, so to speak, because it is often neglected. But they have like 20, 30,000 customers in their database that is not being worked at all. And you try to wrap your head around how many millions and millions of dollars are just sitting there not being taken advantage of. And if anything else, after hours or deploying AI in a really robust rehash program, it seems like a no-brainer to me that would be something that everyone should jump right into and capitalize on. I mean, you've already put a lot of effort and money into those people. And even like repeat business, like repeat customers. If you offer more than one product vertical, how much are you mining your existing clients, existing customers for different products or services, right? So I just think there's so much opportunity leveraging AI, you know, and that's what I like. I mean, they can literally start as little or as big as they want to go, right?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I was looking at a home improvement company, pretty big one, their CRM yesterday. They had 23,500 leads who were in the rehash old category. And they were like, can you please just work those for me? And I was like, yeah, we'll do that. But we're working their leads kind of across the board as well. But everyone has good ideas on, you know, where they want to start. And you should be trying to figure that out with your call center. The last thing, again, that we want to do is step on the call center's toes. We understand you already have a team. If you're looking to make a change on the team, you know, maybe AI is a good replacement, but that's not usually how we get in the door. But you're exactly right. Those rehash leads, those old leads, those off-hour leads, that's usually where we get things started.
Maybe we'll do a poll question here, but it's amazing to me how many companies don't have any rehash program at all, like none. So if you're in a position watching this webinar, you don't have any rehash program, get in touch with Structurally yesterday and get set up and start there. Like there's so much opportunity, it'll actually blow your mind. And now, one thing that some people get scared of with technology is they don't want to be in a position where they're constantly having to manage and babysit the technology either. And in a perfect world, you want to have AI work for you where it's like a set it and forget it type of operation. So how can companies set up AI in an automated way where they're not constantly having to manage the technology or even have a team of people constantly overseeing this technology?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at AI and tech in general. Is the last thing you want to do is have it be another employee that you have to watch like a hawk. I've heard a lot of people saying, I added this new chatbot and I have no idea what it's doing. I had to train it. I had to do this and that. With our AI, we come preloaded with over 150 pre-built scripts. And scripts is kind of become like a bad word in the industry. Our AI and most AI today is fluent enough that it doesn't follow a script. If a lead says this, then say this. But you want it to be generalized enough to follow your call center cadence, the things that you've been mastering, the things that Grosso teaches.
You have to have some foundation, some sort of method of the madness that AI can build off of, right?
Yep. So we have pre-built scripts across the board from roofing, windows, cross-sell, upsell on some of those, siding, one-day bath, kitchen remodel, cabinet refacing, across the board. We have a huge script library where you can say, this is what I want, and this is what the AI is going to know how to talk about, basically. So that's the first thing that we like to talk and honestly consult with our clients about, and probably with you guys at some point, is maybe there will be some Grosso scripts. We have our own pre-built ones, but that takes a lot of the heavy lifting off of your plate. Now, if you already have call center scripts, we can actually read those too, which is a huge, huge lift, because now the AI has learned from your years of experience on call center scripts. That's another way you can easily set it and forget using AI.
So companies can personalize it for what they know to be effective and their different campaigns and stuff like that.
Yep. The entire AI is customizable to off of those pre-built scripts. Those are mostly there for a starting point, basically. So that helps you get in the door. And then the other part that is extremely important from a set it and forget it perspective is CRM integrations. Structurally, our AI, most AI out there needs to work off of your CRM. It's your lifeblood. And so a lot of that looks like basically when something happens in the CRM, structurally should do something. That's about it. When a lead changes disposition from new to set, the AI should stop talking. For example, we don't want to, if your call center set an appointment, the last thing that you want to have is AI go rogue and say, hey, are you interested in getting set up? Because they'll be like, hey, no, I already am set. Is my meeting canceled?
Being a nuisance.
Yeah. So we have invested heavily into CRM integrations that listen to all your lead dispositions, basically in your CRMs. That makes it, again, even more kind of set and forget.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had. So whether you work with Structurally or any other AI call center service, that should be one of the questions companies are asking is, does this integrate or does it have the ability to integrate with my current CRM?
Yep. And then the last thing that I didn't mention is the follow-up. That's one of the huge parts of Structurally. It's great when you get a lead to respond and you have a two-way qualifying conversation to set an appointment, but the fortune is in the follow-up. With those scripts, we have a pre-built library of drips are basically what we call them. So how many times are we going to call and text and email the lead at what times and with what message? All of that is preloaded. Again, you can customize it to your liking. But like, for example, our new lead script, we touch leads 44 times in 3 months over text, call, and email. All of that content is written for you and the cadence is written for you. So that's basically, you just integrate your CRM. You say, these leads are eligible, go after them. And then you can just stick the script on them, basically.
Yeah, and this is what I was highly impressed with is when I was getting, because you did a test run with me, I got to demo the technology, is when they call you and leave you voicemails and stuff, it sincerely sounds like a real person. And I was going to ask you, I was just curious, what's the psychology behind like the background call center noise that's going on? Because when I'm talking to your AI, it sounds, again, genuine like a real person. And there's it's like buzzing in the background call center noise. It feels like it's a person working in this really busy call center where a lot of things are happening. What's the psychology behind that?
Yeah, we like to kind of treat it like a science, like I said. And these little things like that go so far in the conversation. Like 8 years ago, one of the things that we did that we still do that people love is in our texts, we put purposeful typos that a second later it texts back and it corrects it with an asterisk. And that just people don't expect AI to do that. And we don't do it that often. I think it's like 5% of our messages have an error like that we correct. But that gets such a high engagement rate that we just kept doing it.
Seems genuine and authentic.
Yes, and leaned into it. Same with the call center noise. When our AI actually calls leads, it sounds like a real person. Everyone who's watching this should probably test the AI and experience it for yourself. But
it's unbelievable. And because with all AI, there can be a slight moment of pause from when I speak and when the AI replies. But I found the call center noise, it didn't make that pause seem at all like it was, like I was talking to AI. It just kind of kept the conversation moving. It felt more natural. And I was throwing some curveballs at your AI, and full transparency, I was saying some really inappropriate things. And one thing that happened is a supervisor or something, like it transferred the call to a supervisor, and it was like this guy that came on, and he's like, hey, let's try to keep things clean, all right? I'm like, what? Like and then it transferred back to the call center rep. I'm like, holy cow. Like, it's just crazy how quickly it was able to adapt and still move forward through the conversation.
Yeah, a lot of those things play together to make the conversation seem extremely real. We've actually done some studies across the board to say how many people that we've talked to across the millions of conversations believe they're talking to a human. And Our results show that 99.9% actually do, and that's not a made-up number.
Only that many?
0.1% have asked the question along the lines of, are you a human or are you a robot? Because we can tell when they're asking questions like that. So 0.1%.
How does it answer that?
It says, oh, I'm the digital assistant here with XYZ company. By the way, how many windows do you want? It kind of breezes past it a little bit.
Yeah. So it acknowledges it, ignores, and keeps moving forward. We actually train that in our sales training. We call it the AIM strategy. So acknowledge, ignore, move on. So
it's pretty good. And what's interesting about that 0.1% is many times they'll be like, oh, okay. I thought this was a robot. So,
it still doesn't sink in.
So then it's
that's awesome.
We've overcome that objection, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. But
that's great. So one of the big fears, and this is stuff that I've heard personally from my clients of fully embracing AI, is how their current employees are going to react. Are they going to really get upset? Are they going to push back? Are they going to be terrified? Is it going to cause, a big, issue with the culture of my team? Is it going to demoralize my employees? So of course you've been doing this for a long time. So how can a company best implement AI into a human call center without causing a massive disruption, without feeling that they're competing with AI necessarily, how it's enhancing what they're already doing, not taking away from it?
Yeah. So the psychological aspect of adding AI is a tough thing that we've been trying to overcome, because we're like, oh, hey, maybe you don't need all those call center reps anymore. And they're like, well, they're my friends and I don't want to fire them. And we say, okay, that makes total sense. It's a lot easier to just say no to tech than to go out of your way to replace your call center. And that's what we've learned. That's not what we're after. Yeah. What we're trying to do is help you find areas where you can add AI so you can, what's rising tide raises all ships. Yeah. That's the idea of AI. Your conversion rate, your appointment conversion rate should go from 50% on new leads to 60%. And that's not because your callers are calling more or less. It's because now we're handling off-hour leads. Now we're handling those leads that they couldn't get a hold of after day 2. So I think it's about having a conversation with your callers and saying, this technology is going to make your life easier. You don't have to smile and dial 100 times. You don't have to call a lead 100 times just to get them to respond. The AI will do that, and it'll still live transfer to you at the end of the day, because that's where most of our live transfers get sent back to, is a call center. So then they become happier. Those call center reps get to answer happy inbound calls, not, screw you, leave me alone, why are you calling me, block me type of stuff. Those calls that they just have to get bashed on every day, all day for hundreds of calls.
Yeah, so they're investing their time with people that are genuinely interested, like good quality leads. And because that can wear in anybody all day long if you're constantly getting bombarded with people telling you, like, you're scum of the earth, leave me alone, we're not interested, hanging up the phone. So AI can be that built-in filtration system for you, so your human being call center reps are investing most of their time on qualified individuals that actually have an interest that are already kind of pre-screened in a way.
There's a reason that call center reps have some of the highest turnover of almost any job out there. It's a tough job. It's a grind type of job, and you just have to kind of put up with that stuff. And when you can frame it as, hey, I'm investing in your well-being with AI, it's going to make the heavy load of calls and texts to get you replies. They should be happy about it. It should make their life easier.
Exactly. So one thing, of course, there's a lot of talk about how AI can enhance sales. Of course, you got inside sales, you got outside sales. How can you best explain how AI can plug into your existing sales process?
Yeah. So we mostly focus on those inside sales process. That's where we like to focus a lot. So when a lead comes in, it's basically, okay, is the lead going to go to the AI or the call center, or maybe a combination of both? What we hear a lot of people doing is, especially during normal hours, 8 to 5, and they have a call center, they say, okay, I'm going to let my callers who I know are good call those leads first. And then after day 2, if we didn't get a hold of them, which is a lot of leads, you don't get a hold of them right away, then AI handles the bulk of the calling and texting and follow-up at that point. And then we just end up live transferring it back into the call center when they're around and available, or we schedule appointments. So it's say that's the simplest way to put it, how we fit into a sales process right now.
That's great. Yeah. No, it seems like a very smooth, and again, the stuff as you explain it, it seems like why wouldn't somebody be interested in this? But again, I had the same fear, honestly, jumping into AI. I feel like because I can't physically control it, I feel like I can't control AI. It's kind of like its own boss, and that can be terrifying for people, especially people that maybe like to micromanage people or whatever, because AI technically has the free ability to kind of do whatever it wants, and if you don't understand it enough, if you don't understand how you can program these, guardrails into AI and the scripting and stuff, it just seems to me, once you learn more about it, once you start experimenting with it, the obvious benefits day one that you can garner from AI are undeniable. And this is, again, for me personally, is going to be a big part of our marketing strategy at Grosso University moving forward.
And I think a lot of call center managers have that same kind of question, and owners, home improvement business owners. They say, well, I don't want it to just go crazy on all my leads, or I don't want it to ruin my new leads because I'm spending, $100, $200 a lead. I need to have some control. And that's where I think the CRM integration and the call center tool integration is so important, because Structurally isn't just going to go call all of your database leads, although we could. Yeah. You have the controls and tools in place to say, okay, call this lead when it hits this disposition and stop the AI when it hits this disposition. Or go work this set of old leads at this time when I say go, basically. So you're still in the driver's seat for the most part.
So with these new guidelines that are coming up next year, where you can't just mass text and mass call and mass email and all this stuff, where it's kind of more opt-in. Mm-hmm. So they're talking there's like a 90-day window of time or something like that coming up in the near future where you can still follow up with a pretty steady cadence, but then after, can you explain like what's on the horizon with that and how Structurally is going to adapt? Yeah.
So the first thing is the lead generation world is going to change next year. Mm-hmm. The one-to-one consent opt-in is a must-have, basically. So
because even if they've done work with you before, if it's been after 90 days, they have to re-opt-in for different products.
Yep. That's what. And even in our drip messages, we have to put language in there when we're nearing that 90-day to say, hey, are you still interested in our services? Basically, and that helps the carriers deal with filtering. So we'll talk about filtering maybe later, because that's a huge part of kind of this same topic. But from the one-to-one consent aspect, that's the whole lead generation change. Basically, everyone that you're buying leads from, their world is about to change next year. Right. And if you're generating your own leads, you're in a good spot because they're opting in to receive communication only from you. So that's where we plug in. We have to abide by these new regulations that say, stop to opt out. And the only time our AI can essentially call people and texting, because the FCC now sees calling and texting as the same thing, are if they're opted in. That is an absolute key. I don't think many of you are calling or working unopted in leads. If you are, make sure your I's are dotted and T's crossed, because that's a very scary game right now. So when we're working those old leads, when we're working those new leads, we are very careful about our language. We constantly monitor our deliverability rate, our do not call rate, our answer rate, our opt-out rates to kind of take care of a lot of that for you. And when you get signed up with a lot of these texting programs, actually every texting program, you do have to go through what's called the A to P10 DLC registration, which basically lets your business get approved to text customers. You have to do that. Any product that uses texting, you have to go through that. And that's another thing that's just kind of taken care of for you with a service like ours.
So there is incentive for someone that wants to tackle rehash, or get the low-hanging fruit out of their existing database, to really do it now, because really between now and the end of the year is your opportunity to really pounce on that 23,000 people that you have, because after that it's going to be more opt-ins, right? You got to get people opt-in, or you can be hit with significant penalties. So yeah, now, I mean, so adopt this technology sooner rather than later, and at the very least put together a rock solid rehash campaign to take advantage of your existing clients. And then just think of it this way: I'm going to do a massive push on rehash between now and the end of the year, and then kind of hit the reset button as I'm gearing up for this new opt-in program for the coming 2025 and beyond.
Yep.
So that is going to change the game. I'm just curious to see what that's going to do to lead cost. Knowing that these lead aggregators can't sell the same lead 25 times, it's literally one opt-in, which some people look at the benefits, right? Obviously, I have more exclusive leads now, but it's a lot more difficult to get that lead, right?
Yeah.
So lead flow, in reality,
there's no guarantee they're going to respond.
Yeah,
you just paid $500 for a lead that you maybe paid $50 for last year, and they're kind of the same likelihood to respond. So you do have to weigh a lot of this. It's going to look a lot different next year.
So one thing we were talking about is how AI can help with new clients. It can help with uncontacted, rehash, and other leads. Can you just kind of walk us through the differences and how the process of how AI works for these different types of customers?
Yeah, obviously new leads they're hot. They respond really nicely, basically, and have good conversion rates. Our AI averages a 57% response rate across the board for new leads. It's obviously a little lower for uncontacted or old leads because they haven't heard from you in a while.
Is there any way to compare that to like a human being, like what a normal call center compared to that 57%? Is there any data on that?
Most of the call centers that we work with, I've been surprised in home improvement, haven't adopted texting very much. Like they're texting a few times here and there, like maybe in the first few days, basically once or twice. And their response rates are usually low because they're relying so heavily on calls, which is good, but we all get calls. Most of them we don't answer because it's...
I didn't answer your call today.
You didn't.
He was locked out of my building.
It's spam likely. Maybe that's what you have me saved.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And so what I've heard, a good contact rate in kind of across the board, but mostly home improvement, heavily focused on calls, is between 10 and 30%, basically. So I think just by adding texting, we're pretty heavy on texting because people like texting. It's easy, it's convenient, it's on your time. We average a 57% engagement rate across the board. So I'd say that's a pretty fair comparison. Yeah. At least in this industry. But that's heavily focused on new leads. Old lead conversion rates, engagement rates are a little bit lower, but the cadence is pretty similar. When a new lead comes in, your CRM or your lead source tells our AI who it is and what type of lead product they're interested, windows, doors, whatever. And then that sets the script into gear, the script and dripped into gear. And the new lead cadence is a little bit more aggressive, and it says, hey, you just filled out a form on our website, want to see if you're interested in scheduling some time, or whatever you might customize. And then the call AI sounds pretty similar. The old lead and rehash is obviously a little bit, and uncontacted is obviously a little bit more kind of salesy. It's, oh, hey, you've been on our site in the past. Just wanted to see if you'd ever, bought those windows you were talking about with us a while ago. A little bit different. And the cadence of follow-up is a little less aggressive. I think on new leads, our pre-built campaign touches leads 6 days. I think we take the 4th day off. So I think it's something like 15 to 20 touches on new leads over text, call, and email in the first 7 days. Old leads is a little less aggressive. We're not immediately bombarding them. It's not, hey, did you ever get Windows with us? And then the next day, hey, did you get Windows? Hey, did you get Windows? It's a little bit more spaced out and timely. So that's kind of how those differ from a cadence and content perspective.
In terms of, I guess, other leads, how would you best define the category of other leads, and what's AI doing with those? Inbound
calls is a huge opportunity, I think, for a lot of businesses. If you don't have a call center, you are the call center, is something that we like to say. And you don't want to be on your phone driving around with your family because you have to take that call. So
when your AI is calling, does it change like the area code to make it higher probability they're going to answer?
Yep. We have local presence AI that matches all of their area codes, as well as custom rules that can.
Because I can tell you, admittedly, for me, when I get spam calls, I'm far more likely to answer the phone, respond to the text, or at least consider should I or shouldn't I, if it's like a Madison, Wisconsin area code. If it's just some random area code, I'm like, yeah, that's spam.
Yeah.
You know?
And then we also go so far as to let you customize the caller ID, which is a really, really important part of getting higher answer rates. Because if you don't do that, even if you're in your existing tech, most likely it's coming through as spam likely at this point. If you have not gone through the process to register your caller ID, your business caller ID, which we help you do, your calls are probably not getting answered because they're spam likely.
Well, and then even when you leave a voicemail, when your AI leaves voicemails, because I get some inferior technologies or bots where they're like halfway through their script when the voicemail kicks on, and you can tell, okay, but your AI, it like, once after the beep, the beep, and then it actually started, so it sounded, even the voicemail sounded more natural, because you can tell the difference. I don't know what goes into that, but I mean, all those little details, it's impressive.
Yeah, you can customize the voicemail actual content. You can customize the cadence. So one thing that we've learned is like you shouldn't leave voicemails on every call. That's annoying. You should do something like
I got 10 voicemails in my inbox. Yeah,
you should do something like the first one and the third one and the 10th one maybe, and that helps a lot. And you can do that.
Well, it's that combination of voicemail text that it really is like, okay, I got to see what this is all about.
That is a topic that's super near and dear to my heart. We actually call it the text call AI technique. We kind of coined it. It's all over our branding, but it's super important because if you're just calling a lead, they have no idea who you are, basically. If you text the lead, a little warm up, hey, this is Alex with XYZ company. I'm going to give you a call here shortly. They at least know who you are. Sometimes if you have an iPhone even actually will say maybe Alex, which like, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but like it reads your texts and it says maybe Alex. And then now if you're getting a call from maybe Alex, you're like, who's maybe Alex? Maybe I should maybe answer this. And that helps a lot with that little stuff because it sounds like
you're like, oh yeah, this is someone I had previous interaction with or correspondence with, or maybe someone I know really well, just their name slipped. Because I admittedly suck at names. I like forget people's names like crazy. So like when I get that maybe show up, I'm like, yeah, maybe, like you said, I should respond to this call. Maybe it's important.
Yeah, you have to do all those little things to get people to answer. We're all busy. But the flip side is the text call AI technique. The flip side is if you're texting, if you happen to be using text, if you're texting from one number, call it your CRM number, and you're calling from your call center software, a different number, and then maybe you have another structurally number. For example, you're calling and texting the lead from 3 different numbers. That to them, to the lead, might as well be 3 different businesses, and you've just annoyed them. So part of the text call AI technique that we preach is call and text from the same number to the same lead. You have to do it. It's so important. We talk to businesses every day. We're like, yeah, I have Five9, I have the CRM, I have this other tool, and I called them from my personal cell phone. I'm like, just stop. Get one phone number, call them from that number, text them from that number, do everything from that number, because if you don't, you're never going to get a response.
So now, in terms of AI, obviously contractors don't like complicated dashboards and trying to translate all this, algorithm stuff. And so the structurally dashboard, the data it gathers, can you just kind of explain that briefly? So when someone gets access to structurally and they have access to all this information and data, what exactly are they going to have visibility, and how easy is that to navigate for a new customer?
Yeah, that actually is where kind of the name structurally comes from. You were asking me this before, but we kind of like to take unstructured data and turn it into structure. That's where it started, kind of cheesy. But if you think about texts, calls, and conversations, it's messy. People might say, I need 6 windows, want an appointment tomorrow at 2. Like, very valuable data, but stuck in a conversation unless you have AI to extract that. Our AI has what we call slots and intents that basically listen for all that data. We have, I think, in the neighborhood of 500 to 600 slots and intents, anything like number of windows to determine if human. Like if a lead says, are you a human or not? We can categorize our conversations like that. Now, we don't expose all of that to contractors because that's a lot of data.
It can be overwhelming.
Yeah, but a lot of those slots, like number of windows, we do pull out. and we do try and put them in your CRM. That's a part of our integrations too. So ideally, you're actually never logging into Structurally. That's our goal, is that your callers...
Structurally, just feeding your CRM the data.
You're feeding the CRM data and feeding your call center team live transfers. And when the call center team or whoever team gets the live transfers or appointments, you can kind of do either or, they get a summary of all of that slot data. So it's, hi, this is your Structurally assistant. You're about to be connected with Dom. He's looking for 6 windows. He has an appointment or interested in moving, or interested in getting the job done ASAP, basically. So a really quick summary based on that data that we've extracted. And we give you a summary, basically, that we ideally like to put in your CRM or shoot you a text on too, so you have a note of that. So ideally, again, I think the beauty of AI is that there will be less software, actually.
Well, yeah, because how many different dashboards and tabs do companies have to have open at any given time? It's just to get your computer turned on with all your different software, it takes like an hour. It's like, it's not very productive.
Yeah.
And this is what contractors are probably fearful of too, is like, I don't want to have to learn a new technology. But if you can set it up where they're still only just using their CRM that they know forwards and backwards already, that's just obviously very appealing for anybody, you know, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So talking about that, what are some of the big CRMs that you're actively integrating with now? And, you know, how is it that you can, you know, if someone has a CRM you're not currently integrated with, how long does that time take? Obviously it can take, depending on who the company is, but how long does a typical integration take for you guys?
Yeah, CRM integrations are absolutely vital, I think, to every technology partner in the space, basically. I'm sure that's where you spend a lot of your time coding. And
yeah, we use HubSpot, which is nice. You guys already have a deep integration with them, so works out slick.
We have very deep integrations with Salesforce and HubSpot out of the box. We also have really great integrations with Lead Perfection, Market Sharp, Improve It 360, some other real estate ones that you probably don't care about, but AccuLinks and Job Nimbus, as well as a few others. So a lot in the home improvement space that we've been working on. Obviously, Lead Perfection, Market Sharp, Improve It 360.
Have you worked it out with Leap CRM yet?
Yeah, we're working on it with them right now. It's not done right now when we're recording this, but we're working on something with them to get that integration done. But for the most part, it usually takes us about 1 to 2 weeks to build a new integration. And the unspoken kind of non-integration integrations that we do work with are all of the lead providers too. So Modernize, HomeBuddy, you name it, basically all of those lead, Angie, Home Advisor, all those lead aggregators can still send us leads even if we don't integrate with your CRM. Usually when we plug in to a new home improvement business, we're taking their leads from their CRM or from their lead sources directly. Obviously, if we're working rehash leads or old leads, we have to get plugged into the CRM. So we end up usually doing a combination of both, plugging into their CRM and their lead sources, so we can capture speed to lead on those, which is really important on those lead aggregator leads, as well as work those rehash leads from their CRM.
So this is something that just popped in my head. I was just thinking about, you know, you've been doing this for 8 years, and there are so many AI companies just popping out of nowhere. So what could be an issue with an AI tech company that's doing call center AI that's only been at this for less than a year? Like, what are some of the things you think that's missing or lacking from somebody that's new to the game, that doesn't have all the experience that you have? So when companies are vetting out AI software, AI companies for their call center, that's one question, like, how long have you been in the game? If someone says I've only been at this for a year or two, what are some of the issues can you see occurring with that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because AI companies are coming out of the woodwork.
Okay, exactly. And a lot of the companies I've met, honestly, are pretty new to the game, and that was one thing that I admired about you guys. It's kind of like the OGs of AI, you know, like real OGs. So I really, you know, appreciate that. But you know, some of these people, they got a good sales pitch that so we use the same eye that everybody else does, but there's also this experience element. So how does that impact your guys' ability to serve?
I'd say there's kind of a non-technical answer and a little bit more technical one. The non-technical is, you know, we've handled over 10 million conversations, and we've hand labeled, tagged over 25 million.
Yeah.
So you've made a lot of sales in your day. You've trained a lot of salespeople. Would you would you take the person who's had 1,000 conversations or 1 million conversations? Yeah, it's a pretty easy answer. So it just comes from the experience. We have seen so many wild conversations that you couldn't even imagine. We actually have a channel internally where we track our funny ones. Yours made it.
Oh, really? Oh boy.
Our team was like, what is happening on this call? But it comes from that. And funny, weird, off-kilt conversations aside, it does come from learning about what gets responses. We've mastered a lot of these little things like just putting emojis in there and the misspellings that we correct. And then,
like I said, even just talking to the call handler, and I'm not sure how many hours of audio that your AI leveraged to make that voice sound that authentic, but
a lot.
It was absolutely mind-blowing to me. And just the way the presentation of it all was just perfect. It was just crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that like from an AI perspective, we haven't really touched on that much. It is kind of crazy to think about if we just slow down for a second. Having an AI call leads is like almost a brand new thing that we would have never been talking about even a year ago, basically. And it's crazy.
Well, that's what I've seen. Most of the AI is only limited to inbound inquiries and stuff like that, not the outbound like you guys. So that's to see how dialed in you guys have that whole outbound side of AI. That's what was really impressive to me. Because that's something that everybody, I mean, especially between now and the end of the year, make sure you capitalize on that. So, because you could get millions of dollars on additional business just from that alone. So, of course, when people contact Structurally or a company like you, one thing they probably would appreciate is some good training and support, right? Even though we want to, set it and forget it type of thing, they want to get too involved. I think it's still important that, whoever they're working with does provide really good training and support for their staff. So what are some things that Structurally does to make sure their staff is really up to speed, at the cutting edge, properly trained, and provide additional support ongoing?
Yeah, I think one of the things probably very similar to what Grosso does and everything is we roll up our sleeves and we get into your CRM and your lead sources and we say, what does your current sales process look like? I was actually talking to our team on the drive up here and I was saying, more than half the time, 80% of the time when we onboard a new customer and train them and support them, we end up being sales consultants. Basically, we're like, okay, not from like your perspective on like how to how to actually win the deal, but like sales flow and sales process wise, when a lead comes in, when it hits this disposition, when it comes in after hours, it needs to be routed to this lead at this time. So first and foremost, we are experts in your CRM. Unfortunately, I didn't want to become an expert in lead perfection and Salesforce and Market Sharp, but I am, and so is our team, because it's super important to help with understanding what leads you want us to work and how, basically. And I think that's a huge part that some of these new companies don't have the expertise. I mean, it's taken us hundreds of calls with home improvement businesses to figure out how they work, similarities in how they work, what's working, what's not working. So we have a pretty big best practice guide, but at the same time, we're not just we're going to turn your AI on. Here are your scripts. Good luck. Go find them. It's what does your sales process look like, and where does this new AI employee fit in for you?
Yeah. So very good points. And one thing people think about is return on investment, right? So if I make the investment in AI, what are some of the measurable benefits, cost savings, opportunities for growth? So just in a general sense, I mean, having a call center is not cheap. Having 10 call handlers or 5 even, especially, I mean, I know some call handlers that are getting paid 6 figures just because they're really good. I mean, these are top-notch call handlers and inside sales, right? But what are some of the measurable cost savings and benefits like right away that people can expect when adding AI to their call center? Yeah,
I mean, the first thing is off-hour leads. A lot of companies are outsourcing it to an outsourced call center. So that is always a huge can of worms because you have to manage them, train them as if they were your own. And it's a big, so usually we say, okay, if you're even considering that, just let AI handle it. It's gonna save you a lot of time and headache. So that's a cost savings of $4,000 to $5,000 a month usually if you're handling all those nights and weekends for an outsourced call center like that. And then the other part is just those old leads. It's kind of hard to measure ROI on leads that weren't contacted by your call center immediately. But we like to look at those conversion metrics. 57% response rate out of the gate is what you're going to get. We usually see that takes about 3 months to get to, just to let the drips play out, people respond. So you kind of let that play out. But then we average about a 17% qualified life transfer rate as well. So that's total, not 17% of the 57. It's 17% total leads will end up inbound calling your call center qualified, basically. So we turn 17 leads out of 100 that you're getting into qualified live transfers, and that's without your call center team beating down their door every day, following up with a text conversation that can drag on for 2 days to 2 weeks. When we look at some of our conversations for our customers, it takes so much work to get a lead to respond. Mm-hmm. It's 5 drip messages, a text, a call, a voicemail. They ghost you for 2 days. You have to re-drip them is what we call it. We have to follow up with them after 24 hours and then five days, get them to respond, set the appointment, follow up on that appointment. It's war out there just to get a lead to respond to you.
I feel burnt out just thinking about it.
Every time I see these, I'm like,
how can a person handle that, right?
Yeah.
That's just with one person.
Yeah.
How about trying to fill a full calendar for your reps, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think about the fact that it's 24/7, 365, is never going to complain, never going to ask for time off, sick days. It's always going to be consistent on its A game. It's going to improve over time. So there's so many benefits, and I think if you can implement it correctly and not take away from what your staff is doing and show how, and I love what you said, I think it can create even a happier workplace where they're investing their time having more positive, meaningful conversation with people that have genuine interest, people that are more pleasant to work with. They're not sitting there with the cadence, trying to work their tails off to get someone over the finish line. Mm-hmm. So I could see that having a profound impact. And one thing that I like is you guys do have background in home improvement and you have some good examples and case studies, but I always like asking people that come on our webinars, what is one of the better case studies that you can recall in home improvement where someone, maybe they were reluctant, maybe they're skeptical, but they embraced AI and obviously had provable results.
Yeah, so there was Wind Choice USA out of the southern half of the U.S. was a really good early customer of ours, mm-hmm. and they came in. They cover 6 states, 3 call centers at the time. They've changed it a bunch. So they were like, hey, we do something in the neighborhood of like 20,000 leads a month, like a month. Damn. They do a lot of leads a month, and they basically said we need to scale the call center. And they're doing 200,000 calls a month, I think, with their call center. And they just said, hey, we're going to add texting. This was right when we were launching Call AI, so this was kind of still early days on the Call AI aspect side of things. But just by adding texting, we added $5 million in structurally influenced revenue to their pipeline. They were using HubSpot at the time, so we actually built a report in HubSpot to say, okay, how many deals are in closed won who talked to structurally at one point through the conversation? And in the first 3 months, we added influenced $5 million in closed won revenue. And again, that was a combination. Like at the end of the day, their call center ended up setting the appointments or closing the deal. Yeah. But they said, hey, structurally got them to respond. They got me a live transfer. It's a good combination of the call center working with the AI to boost their revenue. And I think that was a really good one.
Yeah, that's a perfect example how to best implement AI, right? Mm-hmm. With your current staff, and of course, just adding that additional optimization and efficiency to your existing individuals. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really great way. Now, just putting structurally aside, I mean, where do you see AI going? Do you have any fears of AI, like what it could do to humanity? Like, I'm just curious because you've been at this for a while. You see how fast this is evolving. I guess, where do you see AI going in the next couple of years? I mean, we're not talking decades from now. We're talking like tomorrow. Things are getting kind of insane, right?
Yeah, I think we call it voice synthesis. So the ability to generate an AI voice is going to be the Wild West for the remainder of this year, going into the election, unfortunately, and next year. Someone already spoofed Joe Biden's voice and called like the Northeast and did some damage there. So that's not going well. Yeah. But that technology is exploding. Like the ability to clone someone's voice is wild. That's where I have a lot of fear. I think that's where a lot of people have fear. Is I could with this podcast, this webinar right here, you could clone my voice pretty well, very well. Yeah.
And even the ones where it's like the voice and the face, where you can't even tell. Like, was it the Morgan Freeman one that was really popular? Yeah. This is not Morgan Freeman. I'm not a human being. Yeah. But that just to see where that could be. Like, how do you know what's real and what's not? Yeah. You got to be really careful. Like, unless I can see it and touch it with my own hands. Like, if I'm seeing it on TV or on a screen, I'm just going to bank it's probably not real. Like, I don't know. It's just so tough. But yeah, I mean, this is something I think about quite often. But, my best advice for people that maybe are afraid of it is, you got to figure out a way to get the upper hand by utilizing this for your own benefit, And I think there's a lot of freedom to AI, because think of how much of your life you can have back if you can have more automated processes and your efficiency. Because we're just talking about call center, but AI is in every department within your organization. And there's so many things that it can do to give you your life back and optimize your performance as an owner, as a leader, overseeing a department within your organization. And this is what I'm starting to see. Again, I could have a call center of 15, 20 people, or I can just work with someone like Structurally, have a really nice partnership, and have AI do all the heavy lifting. And it's to the point now where I promise you it's going to sound as good, if not even better, than talking to a human being on the phone. And some people may take offense to that, but it is absolutely incredible. So if anything else, get on a demo with Structurally, take it for a test drive. It'll blow your mind. It was scary to me, but I also had a lot of fun with it. As kind of goofing around. But yeah, put it to the test. You'd be absolutely surprised, like how this can, pour jet fuel on your marketing engine. So what are some of the things you see Structurally doing to continually enhance your personal technology moving forward? What are some of the innovations you may be pursuing in the near future?
Yeah, I think I was talking about this.
Holograms?
Yeah. I was talking about this on the drive up here with my team, actually, just kind of thinking big picture, what's next. And we see a big opportunity in what we call behavioral messaging, basically. Right now, I kind of see some odd fragmentation in the home improvement space, where it's like you have your CRM that doesn't talk to your website, that doesn't talk to your call center. So what we do is kind of blindly call and text the leads saying, okay, if it's a new lead, call on day 1, day 2, day 3, not day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. I call them kind of dumb campaigns. They work, but they're kind of dumb. Where I see it moving is potentially more behavioral based triggers. Hey, they were on the website. Call them because they're live. They're thinking about you. Hey, they just filled out a form. Hey, they just opened your email 3 times. It's actually tech that we've seen in other industries like real estate that's worked really well for engagement. And I'm amazed that I haven't seen that come into home improvement yet, because half of sales, if not all of sales, or lead conversion is about sending the right message at the right time to get the lead to reply. It's really simple. If you just blast a rehash lead, 23,000 texts, hey, did you ever get Windows? Do you want to work with us? You're going to get 10,000 screw you, leave me alone. Yep. But if you're a little more careful about it, if you're like, send an email, only call on the leads who opened the email, only call the leads who maybe clicked an email, you can be a lot more careful and timely. So I think that there's a really big opportunity to marry kind of the digital ad world with AI to be a lot more efficient with your AI, basically, like us.
So this is just a random question popped in my head. Is things like geo-targeting and geofencing, is that going to be outlawed now with these new guidelines? Like, because I can, like, for example, take a home improvement event, I can geofence everyone's cell phone and device and create some marketing campaigns to target their personal emails and you know, stuff like that. Is that stuff going to be forbidden? I'm not sure.
Not at all outlawed, as long as you're doing things appropriately. If you just called them out of the blue in an automated way, or texted them, yes, that is not legal.
Right, but if we just, you know, call them personally or text them personally, and then we get opt-in, then we can.
That could be, yep. And another, you know, a good way to do that is sign writers, mailers, things like that, door hangers. A lot of people use our AI for that. They send out a mail that says, hey, saw, you know, your neighbor just got their window replaced, wanted to let you know I'm XYZ company. Call this number, we'll get you hooked up. That number is actually the AI, and it knows, because you built a pre-built script, that it's living on that postcard, basically.
That's cool.
So that's all the
smart.
crazy type of stuff that you can do with all of this AI. I think digital marketing, digital advertising is going to benefit from AI almost more than almost any industry vertical out there, because everything is going to be so much more tailored to you, which is great. I think a lot of these changes that are coming down the pipeline around one-to-one consent for leads, just the ability to create personalized and targeted ads, even in the real world, like print, all of that stuff is going to be impacted heavily by AI, and it should theoretically make a lot of our lives a lot more tailored, rather than just getting garbage that you don't care about, honestly.
Yeah. Well, amazing stuff. And again, we really appreciate the partnership. And if someone's looking to get more information on Structurally, maybe schedule a demo or take it for a test drive, what's the best way to contact you?
There's an awesome opportunity to just try it, like Dom did and his team. Go to structurally.com/try, and you will be able to try it out. Just a quick form. With that, I would give you a number to call, but I think that form is better because you're going to get the outbound experience and text and AI. So you'll fill out that form, you'll tell it the script that you want to demo.
Yeah, if you're interested in bath leads or kitchen refacing or roofing or whatever.
And then it'll treat you like that lead, and it'll call, text, and email you. So I'd go to structurally.com/try and just try it out. Try and break it. Have some funny conversations.
And of course, after this pre-recording, we're going to leave it open for 5 to 10 minutes, a live Q&A. So if you have any AI questions about AI call center, anything that touches this topic, make sure you take advantage of Nate's expertise. And of course, we got the Agoge Summit coming up November 14th and 15th. If anyone's interested, Structurally does have some complimentary tickets to the Agoge. So make sure you take advantage of that as well. They're going to have their own personal promo code, so we'll put that at the bottom of the screen as well. So we'd love everyone to see, and I'm actually going to have Nate on an AI panel where we're going to have literally the top AI people in the country answering any and all technology AI-based questions, whether it be in sales, call center, you name it. So I appreciate everyone tuning into this educational webinar with Grosso University and Structurally. And on behalf of everyone here, as always, yes, you are a closer.